Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before I deliver my speech, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Lalu Muhammad Aminullah, and I'm from University of Education Mandalika Mataram, and my majority is English education. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know that world now has faced one virus that has spread around the world. This virus named coronavirus. What is coronavirus? Coronavirus are a family of viruses that can cause illness such as the common cold, severe acute respiratory syndrome or SARS, and Middle East respiratory syndrome or MERS. In 2019, a new coronavirus was identified as the cause of disease outbreak that originated in Wuhan, China. The virus is now known as the Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus 2 or SARS-CoV-2. The disease it caused is called Coronavirus Disease 2019 or COVID-19. In March 2020, the World Health Organization or WHO declared the COVID-19 outbreak a pandemic. Public health groups, including the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention or CDC and WHO, are monitoring the pandemic and posting updates on their website. These groups have also issued recommendations for preventing and treating the illness. There are symptoms that can indicate a person has been infected with coronavirus. Signs and symptoms of coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 may appear 2 to 14 days after exposure. This time after exposure and before having symptoms is called the incubation period. Common signs and symptoms can include a fever, cough, and tiredness. Early symptoms of COVID-19 may include a loss of taste or smell. Other symptoms can include shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, muscle ache, chills, sore throat, runny nose, headache, and chest pain. This is not all inclusive. Other less common symptoms have been reported, such as rash, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Children have a similar symptom to adult and generally have mild illness. The severity of COVID-19 symptoms can range from very mild to severe. Some people may have only a few symptoms, and some people may have no symptom at all. Some people may experience worsened symptoms such as worsened shortness of breath and pneumonia about a week after symptoms start. People who are older have a higher risk of serious illness from COVID-19, and the risk increases with age. People who have existing chronic medical condition also may have a higher risk of serious illness. A chronic medical condition that increase the risk of serious illness from COVID-19. A serious heart disease such as a heart failure, coronary artery disease, or cardiomyopathy. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or COPD, type 2 diabetes, severe obesity, chronic kidney disease, sickle cell disease, and weakened immune system from solid organ transplant. Other conditions may increase the risk of serious illness such as asthma, liver disease, chronic lung disease such as cystic fibrosis, brain and nervous system condition, weakened immune system from bone marrow transplant, HIV or some medication, type 1 diabetes, and high blood pressure. And ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to talk about the causes of COVID-19. COVID-19 infection with the new coronavirus causes coronavirus disease 2000 or 2019 or COVID-19. The virus appears to spread easily among people, and more continues to be discovered over time about how it spreads. The data has shown that it spreads from person to person among those in close contact within about 6 feet or 2 meters. The virus spreads by respiratory droplets released when someone with the virus cough, sneeze, or talk. This droplet can be inhaled or land in the mouth or nose a person nearby. It can also spread if a person touches a surface with the virus on it and then touches his or her mouth, nose, or eyes, although this isn't considered to be a main way it spreads. And the risk factors for COVID-19 appear to include recent travel from or resident in an area with ongoing community spread of COVID-19 as CDC or WHO determine. And then second, close contact within 6 feet or 2 meters with someone who has COVID-19 for more than 5 minutes, or being cough or sneeze on by an infected person. And there is a common complication of COVID-19. Although most people with COVID-19 have mild to moderate symptoms, the disease can cause severe medical complications and lead to death in some people, older adult or people with existing older adult or people with existing chronic medical condition are at greater risk of becoming seriously ill with COVID-19. The complication can include the first is pneumonia and trouble breathing, organ failure in several organs, heart problems, a severe lung condition that causes a low amount of oxygen to go through your bloodstream to your organs, acute respiratory distress syndrome, and blood clots, acute kidney injury, and additional viral and bacterial infection. Although there is no vaccine available to prevent COVID-19, you can take steps to reduce your risk of infection. WHO and CDC recommend following this precaution for avoiding COVID-19. First is avoid close contact within about 6 feet or 2 meters with anyone who is sick or has symptoms. The second is stay home as much as possible and keep distance between yourself and others within about 6 feet or 2 meters. Especially if you have a higher risk of serious illness, keep in mind some people may have COVID-19 and spread it to others, even if they don't have a symptom or don't know they have COVID-19. The next is wash your hands often with soap and water for at least about 20 seconds or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% of alcohol. Cover your face with a cloth face mask in public space, such as the grocery store, where it's difficult to avoid close contact with others, especially if you are in an area with ongoing community spread. Only use non-medical cloth mask or surgical mask and N95 respirator should be reserved for health and care providers. Cover your mouth and nose with your elbow or a tissue when you cough or sneeze. Throw away the used tissue. Wash your hands right away. And avoid touching your eyes and mouth and avoid sharing dishes, glasses, towels, bedding, and other household items if you are sick. Clean disinfect high touch surface such as doorknob, light, like switches. And the most important is stay home from work, school, and public areas if you are sick, unless you are going to get medical care. Avoid public transportation, taxis, and ride sharing if you are sick. If you have a chronic medical condition and may have a higher risk of serious illness, check with your doctor about other ways to protect yourself. And ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to tell you about the effect of COVID-19 pandemic in our daily life, especially in Indonesia or the world. And ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to explain about the effect of COVID-19 pandemic in daily life. COVID-19 or coronavirus has affected day-to-day life and is slowing down the global economy. This pandemic has affected thousands of people who are either sick or are being killed due to the spread of this disease. The most common symptoms of this viral infection are fever, cold, cough, bone pain, and breathing problems, and ultimately leading to pneumonia. This being a new viral disease affecting humans for the first time. Vaccines are not yet available. Thus, the emphasis is on taking extensive precautions such as extensive hygiene protocol, example, regularly washing of hands, avoidance of face-to-face interaction, etc., social distancing, and wearing of mask, and so on. This virus is spreading exponentially region-wise. Countries are banning gathering of people to the spread and break the exponential curve. Many countries are locking their population and enforcing a strict quarantine to control the spread of the havoc of this highly communicable disease. COVID-19 has rapidly affected our day-to-day life. Business disrupted the world trade and movement. Identification of the disease at an early stage is vital to control the spread of the virus because it very rapidly spread from person to person. Most of the countries have slowed down their manufacturing of the product. The various industry and sectors are affected by the cause of this disease. This include the pharmaceutical industry, solar power sector, tourism, information and electronic industry. This virus creates significant knock-on effect on the daily life of citizens as well as about the global economy. Presently, the effect of COVID-19 in daily life are extensive and have far-reaching consequences. This can be divided into various categories. The first category is healthcare, and the impact is challenge in the diagnosis, quarantine, and treatment of suspected or confirmed cases. Second, high burden of the function of the existing medical system. Third, patients with other diseases and health problems are getting neglected. The fourth, overload on doctors and other healthcare professionals who are at a very high risk, and overloading of medical shops, requirement for high protection, and disruption of medical supply chain. And for the economic, the impact is slowing up the manufacturing of essential goods and disrupt the supply chain of product, losses in national and international business, uh, poor cash flow in the market, and significant slowing down in the revenue growth. The next, in social aspect, service sector is not being able to provide their proper service. Cancellation or postponement of large-scale sport and tournament, avoiding the national and international traveling and cancellation of services, disruption of celebration of cultural, religious, and festive events, undue stress among the population, social distancing with our peers and family members, and closure of the hotels, restaurants, and religion places. Closure of places for entertainment such as movie and play theaters, sport club, and gymnasium. This COVID-19 has affected the sources of supply and affect the global economy. There are restrictions of traveling from one country to another country. During traveling, number of cases are identified positive when tested, especially when they are taking international visits. All governments, health organizations, and other authorities are continuously focusing on identifying the cases affected by the COVID-19. Healthcare professionals face a lot of difficulty in maintaining the quality of healthcare in this day. Here are some ways the Indonesian government deals with the coronavirus. The first is the government of the Republic Indonesia has formed and activate the rapid response team in airport, port, and cross-border posts. The team consists of officers at port health, immigration, customs, animal quarantine, and other relevant units in the area of entrance that has the authority and competency in preventing the importation of this disease. And second, the team supervises transportation of people, goods, and environment at the country's entrance. The team also provides interview, observation, and quarantine room for passengers. The third, since January 18, 2020, Indonesia has conducted health checks at around 135 points at airport, on land, and in seaport using body temperature scanner for anyone entering Indonesian territory. In accordance with the international health regulation, the government of Indonesia has also deployed additional personnel at airport and increased hospital preparedness. And the fourth, the government, through the Ministry of Health, has taken 3 measures to prevent the entry of coronavirus into Indonesian territory, namely issuing circular letter to all provincial and district or city health office, referral hospital, port health office, and environmental health centers to increase alertness and preparedness to face the possibility of the entrance of this disease. Second, placing 135 thermal scanner in all airports in Indonesia, especially those with direct flight to China. And the last is providing health alert card and communication information and education to passengers. The fifth way is the Ministry of Health has appointed at least 100 referral hospitals, which were previously used to handle the case of bird flu, and also prepared 21 evacuation capsules. The Ministry of Health has developed a preparedness guideline which refer to WHO guideline, compared guideline on how to reduce the risk of contracting COVID-19, such as by washing hands and staying away from people who are sick and ensuring that appropriate steps have been taken. The steps are forms of prevention and anticipation. And seventh, the Ministry of Health opened hotline service that can be accessed by the public to find information about the coronavirus. On February 2, 2020, the government of the Republic Indonesia announced the first suspension of all flights to and from the mainland China, which took effect on 5 February 2020 at 00 local time. Prohibition of anyone who had been in China for the past 14 days from entering or transiting in Indonesia. Temporarily revocation of free visa and visa on arrival for Chinese citizens, and then temporarily suspended import of live animal from mainland China, and since February 4, 2020. The ninth, assessment of WHO representatives in Indonesia regarding Indonesia readiness to face COVID-19. The first, Indonesia has a functioning warning and early response system. Indonesia has hundreds of facilities in various regions that can access referral case and manage this case in a very appropriate manner with an appropriate measure of infection prevention control. Second, with the readiness of the accessing system, Indonesia is considered ready to respond to this situation. And then WHO considers Indonesia on the right path in terms of readiness and preparation for precautionary activities. And the 10th, the government of the Republic of Indonesia has repatriated Indonesian citizens from Hubei province, China on February 2, 2020. The measures that have been applied to the Indonesian citizens are as follows. The first is ensure the availability and access to logistics in Wuhan, and due to quarantine policies from the PRC government, the Indonesia embassy in Beijing has donated financial support to Indonesian citizens for food and logistics in Wuhan. And Indonesian National Board for Disaster Management through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Indonesian Embassy in Beijing have sent 10,000 and 99 masks to Indonesian citizens in China. The next, voluntarily repatriating 167 Indonesian citizens and one foreigner who were in Hubei province on February 1 until 2, 2020. Since February 2, 2020, all Indonesian citizens, together with five terms from the Indonesian Embassy in Beijing and 42 evacuation teams, are undergoing medical observation for 14 days virus incubation period at the Raden Sajjad Air Force Base in Natuna Island. Okay, that's all. That's all the things that I can deliver to you, ladies and gentlemen, about coronavirus. Uh, okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's all that I can deliver to you about coronavirus. Thank you for your nice attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.